is the number one problem in the United States today? That would be poverty. Who is most impacted by poverty? That would be people of color, indigenous people, and immigrants. And how can we combat this? By increasing the federal minimum wage. Hi, my name is Samantha Gilbert, and I would like to talk to you about an issue that is important to all of us today. That issue is the minimum wage. It is no longer a living wage, and it has not been in quite some time. As of June 2023, 61% of adults reported that they were living paycheck to paycheck, including adults who were working multiple jobs to put food on the tables for their families. When the minimum wage was first created, it was created with the intention of supporting a small family with only one breadwinner. It was enough to buy a house, a car, and you could still afford non-essentials such as vacations. The minimum wage today no longer meets that criteria. I believe this is a problem because most adults in the United States lack the income to maintain a stable livelihood, which leads to an increase in crime rates and a decrease in public safety and health. Financial insecurity can cause heightened levels of stress, and heightened stress can lead to rash decision-makings that can lead to decisions that cause harm to others. Let's begin with some facts. The minimum wage is not enough to support someone today if they are working the standard 40-hour work week. With the minimum wage today, if you were to buy a modest apartment, a one-bedroom apartment, you would need to work over 100 hours. If you were working the standard 40-hour work week, you would need to be making at least $23 an hour, 3 times the minimum wage. According to KFF, the national poverty rate is 12.6%, and while this percentage may seem low, it should be closer to 2%. And this percentage only increases if you are a minority, especially if you happen to be Alaskan or indigenous. Let me tell you a story. I am 19 years old. When I started high school, I was told to pick the college I wanted and to choose my dream job. I chose journalism. My senior year of high school, I was told to quit that idea and pick something more realistic because I would never be able to afford my livelihood on my dream job anymore. So, I chose to go to state-funded community college where the state would be paying scholarships for my tuition fully. I chose to stay home with my parents, paying minimum rent. I work as a handler part-time at FedEx, making $20 an hour. And I don't have any extra expenses. I save money. I will not be able to afford to move out of my parents' house for a while as a full-time student and a part-time employee because I just don't make enough money for it. According to YR Media, 31% of Gen Z adults are currently living with their parents, like me, because they cannot afford to move out. Many young adults are coming across immense challenges when it comes to independence, namely the high cost of living and the low minimum wage. Now that we have thoroughly discussed the problem, let's talk some solutions. My plan is the new American dream of a livable wage. 6 steps. The first one, abolish tipping. If you are a tipped worker, you can legally be paid as little as $2.13 an hour, and that wage is not increased if you do not make tips in a given day. My second step, increase the amount paid to skilled workers, such as those who attended university and have degrees or certificates for specific fields, including trade workers. My third step, mandatory overtime pay to full-time employees who work over 8 hours in a given day. Step 4, decrease the cost of college or offer more cost-effective alternatives such as community college and trade school. This includes increasing funding to community college and trade schools just as you would to state schools. Step 5, put a pause on inflation to essential items such as groceries, cars, housing. This price does not necessarily need to decrease, it just needs to stop increasing. Step 6, offer better education opportunities to immigrants and low-income families. If you cannot afford college, you oftentimes cannot afford to rise above the situation that you live in. According to Rohi Pathak and Kyle Ross at the Center for American Progress, poverty is entirely preventable. America has the power and ability to ensure that all people residing within its borders can build financial stability and live their lives with dignity. I would like to leave you with these thoughts. I believe that my plan for establishing a new minimum wage and educating the U.S. population will effectively combat the poverty problem here in the U.S. Poverty is such a rampant part of the U.S. Parents have been forced to steal baby formula so their infants can eat. Children have been forced to steal medicine for sick relatives, and almost no one can afford to buy a house anymore. But that can all be changed. With my plan to increase the minimum wage and make education more easily accessible, I believe that we can combat poverty effectively. Now, because I'm short on time, I will leave you with a quote from the famed activist Nelson Mandela. Poverty is not an accident. Like slavery and apartheid, it is a man-made construct and can be removed by the actions of a human being. Nelson believed that by human action, poverty can be undone, just as slavery and segregation were made undone. All it takes is for one person to take a step in the right direction.